In this episode of Kids Podcast, I am honored to share wisdom with you about leading kids in your church and in your home. Dealing with kids is hard work, and I'm praying that we add some tools to your tool belt today. So let's dive into today's topic. Vacation Bible School. That's what we're talking about on another episode of Kids Podcast. My name is Ron Gill, your podcast host for this episode. And here on Kids Podcast, we're talking all about kids and their leaders and leading them into an overflowing life with Jesus. This episode, we're answering all kinds of big questions regarding Vacation Bible School, the good old VBS. Like, what kind of VBS should we do at our church? How far in advance should I be planning for mine? Should I buy a curriculum or just build my own? How much should I charge for a VBS? How much should I pay the guests to come in? And that's what we're doing. That's what we're talking about. That's where we're going. Let's do it. Boom! That's in. All right, so the big thing with Vacation Bible School that I want to leave with you guys right away is this. Is that a great VBS is not copied. It's led with vision. A great VBS is not copied. It's led with vision. And so we're going to talk about VBS with a purpose. And so let's start with why you might choose to do a Vacation Bible School. The first reason that I would encourage a Vacation Bible School is because it is a simple, easy, people show up outreach. Yes, it's simple and easy to get people to show up for this outreach. People leave where they're at to come to you, drop their kids off, and you can tell them about Jesus. And let me be more exact. People get on their computer and they jump on Google, or even they sit in front of their chat GPT and they say, deep dive, local vacation Bible schools near me, and then the internet gives them information, and then they just show up to your Vacation Bible School. There's schools will tell them about Vacation Bible Schools. Their social media accounts will tell them about the Vacation Bible Schools. And if you're a mom, we know that if we play the cards right, this week you'll be at that church's Vacation Bible School. Next week you'll be at someone else's Vacation Bible School. 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out, you could have the whole summer planned with Vacation Bible School. And if you don't know, the average cost of a single day at daycare is not cheap. So even if you charged $50 for a 4 to 5 day Vacation Bible School, those moms are still getting a deal compared to dropping them off at daycare. So when they drop them off, guess what you can do? Tell them about Jesus. That's right. So it is a simple, dirt easy outreach that you can do with your community. Now, is it dirt easy to execute? That's not quite what I said, even though it's what I said. What I mean, and to be clear, it's easy to get people to respond to your thing. When you normally get 10 kids, you might suddenly have 50 kids. When you normally get 30 kids, you might suddenly have 80 kids. When you normally have 50 kids, you might suddenly have 100 kids. And if you plan it right, execute it right, market it right, you could easily get 100 kids to show up to your event. I one time had 270 kids show up to a Vacation Bible School for the whole week. And the whole week, we told them about Jesus. And it was awesome. Yes. Second reason you might want to consider a Vacation Bible School, because they're excellent for bridging the gap between you and the families in your church. Yeah, the families. This is one of those events where you do it to make yourself known. You do it to raise awareness. You do it to let people in on what you're doing so that they can become a part of the ministry. And that might be inside and outside the church. I know that for a fact there are several people that were doing Vacation Bible School with us, but they weren't exactly a part of our church. But because their kids signed up, they became aware. They're like, oh, this place is cool. Oh, you guys are serious about kids ministry. Oh, can I serve? And then years later, they're still involved with the church because they became aware that we were a thing through Vacation Bible School. Now, the third reason you might want to consider it is it's just good old summer momentum. The kids are out, they need something to do. You need the momentum to keep them around. You want to keep the ball rolling on what God's doing in their life. You want to keep the ball rolling on how God's calling them into the future. You want to keep the ball rolling on that Holy Spirit filling them up. So, good summer momentum. Boom. All right, so let's talk about 5 models that I know of. So you've decided, yeah, I have a good reason to do this. Which model should I go with? You have your traditional model, which you can either buy a curriculum for or plan yourself. It doesn't really matter which way you do it. One is planned for you down to the T, and the other is you've got to kind of build it out. But both essentially are the same concept if you write it that way. In the traditional model, everyone meets together in one big spot, and then they break up into 3, 4, 5 different groups depending on what you want. Group A might be crafts. Group B might be snack. Group C might be a game. Group D might be a message. Broken down in a small group format, and then everyone comes together for one big service, for one big celebration, and that's where you tell them about Jesus. Yeah, that might. And then they rotate, and then they rotate again, and then they meet back together for one big group to talk about Jesus again. I mean, honestly, the schedule could be any 6 different ways, and that's pretty normal with Vacation Bible School. No matter what the schedule is, the idea is pretty simple. They start here, they rotate, get to all the groups before they get back to the big group, and they might get in the big group 2 or 3 times before they leave. And at the end of the night, they know that Jesus loves them. Yeah. So then, beyond the traditional model is the camp-based model. This is where instead of kids rotating from group A to group B to group C to the big group, back to group A to group B to group C, they stay in one grouping the entire time. So it looks more like timeline A, they do a thing. Timeline B, they do the same thing but in a different way. Timeline C, they do the same thing in a different way again. And then they go into the big group again. Think of it like a sports camp and you're on the soccer team. Well, the soccer players are not going to rotate to the basketball group and then rotate to the hockey group. No, the soccer players signed up for soccer, so they're going to play soccer at timeline A, play some more soccer at timeline B, and then play some more soccer at timeline C, and then eventually they'll get all the athletes into one big group and do a big celebration, do a service, and learn about Jesus. Yep, that's how they would do it. That's the camp-based model. I did versions of this where it was like a mega sports camp. That was an actual just sports camp, and in that sports camp, we began to add other dynamics like a cooking group, like a frisbee group, like a STEM group. I mean, the ideas are endless. I had a guy, my good friend Tyler. He did an archery group, wilderness group. There are plenty of ideas out there. The key to having which kind of group, though, is knowing that you're going to have a leader that's going to oversee those particular areas with a little bit of expertise. But we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. The next kind of model is an event-based group. I did this once with a program called Overcoming Obstacles. They are a Ninja Warrior group based out of the actual TV show, the Ninja Warrior, American Ninja Warrior. And what happened is these Ninja Warriors came in on a semi-truck. They set up an entire course. It was a 2-day thing. And on day 1, they just let the kids play in the course. Climb around, running wall, inflatables, jumping, flips, karate, hiya, right? And then on day 2, we did a full time trials, and we had fun with it. It was cool. Yep, I recommend something like that. The one year we did instead of like a sports camp or one of those things, or even an event one, we did a summer splash where everything was water based. We had to write the whole thing out. It was really cool. There's some good and bad with all things, but so the three models that I've covered so far is a traditional model, the campus-based model, and the event-based model. The next was probably my favorite is the rotation model. And the difference between this one and the other ones is that there is no large group gathering. There's no group of 50 kids stuck in one room. There's no group of 150 kids stuck in one room. There's no 270 kids in one room. That's a lot of energy. That's a lot of chaos. And we just didn't want to do that. So in the rotation model, we had our group A in crafts, group B in snack, group C in games, group D in a message group. And then we rotated. Group A is in this, group B in that, group C in that. And you get the idea. We just rotated and every group eventually got the message. I like that model. That was my favorite. So we did it a couple of times. And then the last model to cover is the family style, which is basically any one of the other ones. I probably would go with the rotation style, but the restriction is instead of just doing it, you have to restrict the kids by requiring mom and dad to be present with the kid. It's like doing vacation Bible school with your mommy and daddy. And this is a model that I've been wanting to try, and I might get there someday. Now, the reason I was thinking through that is because of this next step, is coming to terms with choosing how you would pick your vacation Bible school. And the first reason you might do it is based on your church's demographics, whether you're urban versus rural versus suburban versus whatever. Knowing your church and the demographics is going to help you decide when you're going to do vacation Bible school, who you're going to do, how much you're going to charge. The list is yes. All right. So demographics, this is why and how you would go about choosing. But another is understanding the rhythms of your culture's families. Like where I live, the moms and dads, they're at work during the day and they get off of work. They don't want to drop their kids off at 6 p.m. So there was not very, when we had it in the morning, we'd have buku numbers. But in the evening, we have just average numbers. We still had good numbers. We still had profited, quote unquote. It just wasn't the same numbers. But I was okay with that because for me, one of the next items on choosing a model came down to my ministry goals. My ministry goal was not to have big numbers. My ministry goal instead was to have returning numbers. My ministry goal was to have discipling numbers. My ministry goal was to see growth from the families. It was to see visitors become regulars, become participants. So yeah, another dynamic it might affect your model is your volunteer pool. How many volunteers do you have? How many are available now? How many are available in a couple months? How many are available in the morning versus the evening? And if you choose left or right, do you have to play hot potato? It's a big deal. And then, of course, there's your budget. Like, what is your budget? What do you got to work with? And we're going to talk more about that in a second, but understanding your budget, it's going to help you decide if you're going to, pick a certain style. Yep. All right, so let's do a planning timeline because now you know you want to do it. You've picked your model, but when? All right, so let's say your VBS is on June 15th. Well, June 15th of last year, I've already had that on the calendar. So I'm 1 year out. I know that I know it's on the calendar that on June 15th is our next vacation Bible school. That's number one. Number two, I'm hitting my non-negotiables. I need to know who the sponsor is, who the director is and who the speaker is. 6 months out, I want to make those decisions and put it on paper. The sponsor might be your boss, it might be your oversight, it might even become you at one point. But then you want a director, an event director, specifically your vacation Bible school director, someone that makes decisions about the vacation Bible school with you or for you. Because what you don't want to do is be the sponsor and the director and the speaker. That's 3 different jobs. Don't try to do 2 of these 3, much less doing all 3. You want to do one, assign someone else to do number 2, and then assign someone else to do number 3. And if you had it perfectly, you want to do one, pay someone to do number 2, and then pay someone to do number 3. If you can do it that way, you should have a 3-man team making this happen. Yes. Boom. All right, so then 3 months out, the whole team now has coordinators for the entire event. And only you will know how many coordinators you need. So for example, if you have a sports camp and you're only doing 3 sports, you're probably going to need about 5 coordinators. You need a soccer coach, you need your football coach, you need your basketball coach, you need your registration coach, and you need your assistant coach, who's basically going to follow around your director the whole time. All right, so 5 coordinators that are in charge of very specific things. Now, those coordinators are not the same as your assistant coaches or your leaders who stay with the kids. Right? For me, I had leaders that stayed with their grouping of kids the whole time, and then I had leaders that oversaw a specific detail. It might be the craft. They were only in charge of crafts and making the craft excellent and leading everyone through the craft. All right? Same with soccer. They only worried about soccer. They did not worry about babysitting. So by 1 month out, the entire team is solidified, from director to coordinator to even the helpers of those coordinators. And then I'm starting to send all those people videos and master classes and emails and everything to get them all caught up. And the way I would do it was all through video. I would not do one-on-one in-person meetings because inevitably someone will not show up. I only did video training and just begged everyone to watch them. And then by 1 week out, we're pushing communication really hard, super duper hard. I mean, we're pushing communication on 6, 3, and 1 month out anyways, but by 1 week out, we're getting lots and lots and lots of communication. And then by 1 day out, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty fine details of setup and who is setting up what where. Okay, so now we need to talk about the budget. How do we go about budgeting this? All right, and the answer is actually very simple, especially if you're into the TV show The Office. And if you remember in the one episode, Michael Scott wants to declare bankruptcy. And then, Oscar's got to go through the whole fine comb details of how to budget. And so, bottom line is you have $10 and you need to figure out where the $10 go. I can tell you 20 directions that you can go. It's not going to matter because your vision for your event is not something I can see, and the way I do it may not be the way that's going to be successful for you. But if you have $10, if you have $15, if you have $20, that allows you the opportunity to envision what you can do. This is a huge reason why I'm a proponent of registrations that cost, because it raises the bar for how much you can spend. If you have to ask the board to spend $2, then your vision is only going to be a $2 vision. If you do a fundraiser that gives you $9, then you have a $9 vision. And then if you charge people $10, and then you have a $10 vision. And if you combine all that, you could have, the list goes on. The larger your capital is, the greater your vision can become. But if your vision is to meet a particular demographic so that they can come for free, that is also acceptable. The point is, you need capital in order to make this happen, and that is contingent on the vision you have for your vacation Bible school. Some of the key things that are important to me is that I had a budget specifically for the director to allocate, and I had a budget specifically for the main speaker to allocate, and I had a budget specifically for the sponsor to allocate. Remember we talked about the three non-negotiables? It was those three positions. Each one had their own budget. So if I had a $10 budget, each one got approximately $3.33 each to spend on their departments. So for example, if the event director was in charge of all the coordinators and all their groups, it was on the event director to divvy up 50 cents to the craft group, 50 cents to the cooking group, 50 cents to that group, 50 cents to this group, and so forth. Same thing with the sponsor. Now, as the sponsor, I like to have some main things that needed to be covered, like marketing, like supplies, like registration, like administrative stuff, and most importantly is a contingency amount. So if, for example, as the sponsor, I had $3.33, I would plan on putting $1.10 specifically into contingencies, because inevitably what's going to happen is that week of, there's going to be a bunch of things that need to be purchased, and you need to hold on to that $1.10 for that specific reason. Same thing with the guy in charge of the speaking. Stage design, stage props, stage decoration, stage, whatever he needs to be successful, whatever she needs to knock out of the park, they each had their own budget. But that was the vision I had for our team. As always, I want to encourage you to come up with your own vision and then use your budget to lead that vision. And if you have a big budget, guess what? You get a big vision. I can't iterate that. In fact, if you want to listen to one of the past episodes on the F word, fundraisers, I talk heavily about the idea of asking the board for a budget versus fundraising versus raising your own capital, because it can affect how big your vision is. Now, let's talk a little bit more about leadership selection, because you already heard the non-negotiables of having a sponsor, an event director, and an event speaker. But what about all the other roles? What about these coordinators and all their little helpers and the registration person? How do we go about selecting those people? This is a great question, and it all starts with understanding who is committed to the whole week versus who has expertise in any particular thing. So I choose those that are committed to the whole week before choosing those that have an expertise. Why? Because then you can lock them in to cover the bases for the whole week. So I figure out who's there, what they're able to do. I'm now locked in. Yes, Mr. Jake. Jake is a basketball player. He's awesome, and he's committed to being there for the entire week. So both my eggs in that particular basket are set. He's going to be there the whole week, and he's good at basketball. So there we go. We have a basketball coach. But then I have this Jessie lady and a Dan guy. Don't really know what they do, but hey, I know that Jesse's going to be there the whole week, and Mr. Dan, he's going to be, a slacker. Or maybe not a slacker, just he's got to work, or hey, he's going to be in Alaska, or hey, he can only be there half the week because of any particular reason. Because I know, we all know that that's a normal thing. Half the team will be there, the other half cannot be there. So I'm going to ask Jesse, What is it that you enjoy? What do you like? What do you want to oversee? Jesse might even say something like, "Oh, I love crafts. It's my favorite." And then I'm going to be like, "Boom, you're the craft person. Lead it up." All right. And I'm going to give them the full sandbox of empowerment, and I'm going to provide them with everything they need to be equipped to be successful. Then Mr. Dan is only going to be there for half the week. So I want to be like, "Well, what's your expertise?" Okay. You are a golfer? Okay. We're not doing a golf clinic this time, but is there anything else that you happen to be really, really interested in? Oh, you like Legos. Okay. So then we might consider the idea of doing a Lego group, which would actually be awesome. So then what I might do is I would give him the opportunity to basically either lead part of that group with somebody else or assist someone that will be there the entire week. Either way, I'm going to figure out a way to utilize his expertise, not just do nothing with him. But the last case scenario is he doesn't care what he does, and we simply plug him in wherever he can be useful. Sometimes Mr. Dan can only do Monday and Tuesday, but then hey, there's this one kid named Alex. He can be there Wednesday and Thursday. There's my problem solution right there. So, bottom line, I'm interested in who's going to be there the entire week. Plug them in. Then I'm interested in who has expertise in what. Then plug them in. It's easy to be like, well, soccer coach, be the soccer coach. Well, basketball guy, be the basketball guy. But then you have this one person, oh, you're really into science. You're good with STEM. Well, we don't have a STEM class, but man, if we did, light bulb, boom. So now you have this person that's going to be there all day with this whole new concept that you've never considered before. But man, if you had it, boom, it's a great idea. How many people would sign up for the STEM class? Well, let's just do it. Why? Because you have someone that can lead it, that can own it. And if you get at least 5 kids to do it, it's going to be the best experience for those 5 kids because they have an expert that's going to be there all week, and they're going to have a volunteer on Monday and Tuesday, Mr. Dan, and another volunteer on Wednesday and Thursday, Mr. Alex, to help them knock it out of the park. Basically, what I'm saying is create an experience around their expertise. And you can do that with just about anyone. So if you ever wonder, like, what do I do with these 20 leaders that have signed up? 1, figure out who's going to be there the entire week. But secondly, figure out which ones have expertise where. Do any of them know how to make puppets? Do any of them have experience with drama? Do any of them do anything other than a sport? Do any of them do anything other than crafts and cooking? Find that out. Make it happen. Dream big. Lead with vision. Now, let's wrap it up with the last thing when it comes to the planning process. It becomes the comeback. What is the comeback? So, the comeback is, what is the one thing that we want everyone to come back to? Because if they just come to the Vacation Bible School and that's it, well, then we have to pose the question of why did we even do Vacation Bible School? And as I said before in my many, many other episodes, is I'm not interested in doing an event just to do an event. I want to do an event to lead people into an overflowing life with Jesus. And so if I can get them to come back to church again so that they become part of the church family, that's a plus. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. So, what is the comeback? And it doesn't really matter what the comeback is, as long as there's something to come back to and you advertise it and you sell it and you communicate it. Sometimes that comeback is, hey, this coming Sunday we're doing a big award celebration for the sport that you did. Sometimes that comeback is, hey, come back on Sunday where you get to see a whole display of what's going on. A great example is this one new STEM teacher. They're going to do a big science project on the stage in front of everyone. Or maybe you have a cheerleading group. Oh, what if they did their whole cheer presentation on the stage? What if you did a full first place, second place, third place award ceremony on the stage? That's a thing, right? Pros do it. Why can't kids do it? And maybe you don't want to do it first, second, third. It doesn't matter. My point is have them come back to something. The one year we did a art class, and so when the parents came on Sunday, they were able to walk through our makeshift art studio, kind of like an art show, and they got to see all the art on display in the main lobby of the church. And as they left church that day, they grabbed their kids' art and went home. That's what we did. And so there are tons and tons of ideas on what to do with a comeback. The point is what can we do to get them to come back? And so there you have it. Vacation Bible School, good old VBS. It's okay if you copy it, but it's better if you lead with vision. If you've got questions, hit me up. You know where to find me, rongaleministries.com. Until next time, everybody say, bye, Pastor Juan. Thank you for listening. Smash those like buttons, turn the bells blue, or whatever the kids are doing these days. At the end of the day, our goal is to raise little people to one day become big people. You can find older archived podcasts on our YouTube channel and support what we do at rongaleministries.com. Enjoy!